it all behind you. I said, take down everything that stands in your way. Don't stop believing it'll work out again, my friend. Stand out and be a part of everything good. Wake up, you're gonna be all that you should. Try out all the things you always wanted to be. You'll see, 'cause I know what I know, that you've got it in you, and I see that you are a winner.
This is a different video, having nothing to do with religion, and having something to do with something very near to my heart. I looked up a statistic about what the average person makes per month, or gets, I should say, per month on disability benefits. This is an older statistic. It says as of March 2013, the average monthly benefit for a disabled worker was about $11.29, with male workers, interestingly enough, they make more, receiving $12.55 per month, and female workers receiving $993 per month on average. I wonder why males make more. Why did males get more than females? Does that make any sense? Probably based on what their salaries are, and I'm guessing males earn more than women. Of course, everything's equal in this country, right? And salary discrepancy, that's a myth, right? Anyway, about 1.9 million children of disabled workers and 160,000 spouses of disabled workers also receive supplemental benefits from Social Security, or roughly 300 a month on average. Okay, so the question is, how many of these folks do you suppose, let's just look at the guys who are making the most per month on disability, $12.55 per month. It's about $100 more per month than I was making in 2 weeks when I worked at Swedish. So that's just a little bit more than half what I was making at Swedish. And when I was working at Swedish, and I had another job working at Home Depot, even then, excuse me, I could not afford to hire an attorney. I could not afford to file a lawsuit. So do you suppose people with disabilities can afford to file lawsuits very often? No, probably not. So today, on a whim, just because it still bothers me, I filed a second complaint with the Americans with Disabilities Act, which prohibits, according to their website, it prohibits discrimination. Notice the word prohibits. Discrimination against people with disabilities in employment, transportation, public accommodation, communications, and governmental agencies. The ADA also establishes requirements for telecommunications relay services. Interesting that they use the word prohibits discrimination. I filed with them, I think it was last year, because again, last year something happened. I probably drove by Scott's Bar and Grill, which is probably what happened to me this time too. And when that happens, I get angry. I get very angry. And so last year I filed a complaint, and it took a long time. It took months and months before they responded back. And what they told me was that they reviewed my case and they couldn't do anything with it. So this was very vague, a very vague answer. So I emailed them and said, hey, why can't you do anything? What's wrong? I was discriminated against at this restaurant. I was 86 because I had symptoms of depression and anxiety at this restaurant. So they wrote me back and said, we simply have so many people that file with us that there's just not enough manpower for us to handle all the cases. Yet their website says they prohibit discrimination. Funny thing, I have had to endure it for another whole year because they are understaffed and they just get too many complaints to handle all of them. So once again today, just because I filed again another complaint with them. Incidentally, this is all under the United States Department of Labor. So this is the government. Our government, who, I'm sorry, the first people that suffer when it comes to cutting corners are the poor and the sick, the people who really need help. Anyway, so I filed the second time, knowing perfectly well it will do no good at all. But the point of my video is not so much that there's nothing that people who are disabled or people who have been wronged because they are disabled can do. It's not so much about the fact that they can't do anything about it. It's that this is a crime that people can get away with. Honestly, in this country, you can discriminate against people pretty much all you want to. And chances are you're going to get away with it because the ADA is understaffed. They just can't handle all the complaints they get. I remember what happened last year. Again, I probably drove by this restaurant, Scott's Bar and Grill, Corporation Restaurants Unlimited. And, you know, the thought crossed my mind. The bartender who accused me of going after him, even though he had gone after me, and then behind my back got everybody in that bar to think that I was after him, even though I was married at the time, and I just thought I had a friend. I went there because I had very few friends, and he was one of them, I thought. And it was nice. When you're depressed, you kind of want to be around friends. You want to be around happy people. You want to be around people that say, you're okay. You really are. You're okay. You're not horrible. You're not, there's nothing wrong with you. You have value. People who are depressed want to be around people who make them feel good about themselves. Like, you know, I'm worth something. I'm worth fighting for. And that's what I was doing. I was going to a place where I thought there were people like that who cared for me. Anyway, and I forgot what I was saying. What the thought was. The person who went after me, who then turned the whole bar against me and made them think that I was a skank going after this married man, when I was not remotely interested in him. I was married and I had just taken care of somebody in my house because I was separated from my husband, who I cared for very much. This person I cared for in my house, I was in love with him. That's why I cared for him in my house. Anyway, I have an itchy nose. It's driving me crazy. He's long since been fired by this restaurant. He's gone. He doesn't even work there anymore. The person who had a problem with me, interestingly enough, after he went after me in the parking lot, he had a problem with me still going to the restaurant. I wonder why. Anyway, trying to put some humor into this serious video. He doesn't work there anymore. He was fired. Yeah, they fired him for theft. At least that's what I heard. I don't know. I haven't been there since they 86'd me, which was like 5 years ago. So he doesn't even work there anymore, the person who had a problem with me. So last year I contacted the restaurant manager, who is a different manager now too. And he was really, really nice. And I said, you know, I was 86 because I had symptoms of depression and anxiety at your restaurant. And, you know, I went through therapy, I had medication, I got myself better, and it was a lot of work. I didn't say all this to him, but this is true. It was a lot of work for me to climb out of that rabbit hole. And I probably still have depression. I'm not kidding myself. I think depression is like alcoholism. It's something you kind of have for the rest of your life, but you kind of have some control. I mean, I'm aware of my thoughts now, and I think thoughts are what really you can become like a puppet on a string when it comes to letting your thoughts control you or have so much power over you in your moods, okay? But anyway, I'm digressing. I told this person, it was a very cordial conversation, that I had some problems and that I was 86, and now I've gone to therapy and I've had medication, and I'm pretty much feeling better, feeling good, and wondered how long this 86 thing would last. Well, he was really nice about it, but he needed to check with his corporation. The next time I talked to him, he was rude as hell. Never. You're never welcome back here. The reason I'm never going to be welcome back there, side note, is because I threatened to sue them because I was angry in my wrath. Fine, I'm gonna sue you. Da 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 da. Like I could afford to do that. I just wanted them to listen to my side of the story. This man went after me, and I'm sorry, it was wrong what he did. And in my opinion, he targeted somebody that he knew had depression and anxiety, and he took advantage of somebody he knew was at their last whatever. And I don't think this is a very nice person who would do this, especially since the person that got me down to that level, the one that I took care of in my home and was in love with, who pretty much used me and took advantage because I was so fucking stupid, the bartender was a friend of his. So he knew what I had done for his friend. He knew what it had done to me emotionally. And it had just worn me down to nothing. And he took advantage of me. I think that's a despicable human being that would do that. And the resulting confusion that brought on, anyway, it's just wrong that you can tell somebody that even if it's true, let's just imagine for a minute that what they think is true. What they think is that I was a predator who went after one of their bartenders, and okay, let's just pretend that that's what I was. I was a sex-crazed predator who went after a married man who was one of their bartenders. And I'm just trying to imagine this. Okay, and then I realized that I needed help for my sexual depravity, and I went and I had therapy, and I went and I got on some medication. I went, and several years go by. Even if it was what they think, and I was this horrible, depraved individual, don't you think people get better? And especially if they actively go out and they seek to get better. They make the effort to get better, and they have therapy. And I had therapy for years for my anxiety and depression, and medication, which made me fat. I look back at my videos. I mean, I'm still overweight, but I look back at my videos from like a year, 2 years ago. My face is just awful. I look so puffy. My face is all puffy. The medication made me feel bad, and it made me look horrible. And anyway, I went through a battle to get better. And they're basically saying, no, you can never come back. Basically, no matter how well you are, no matter how better, no matter how much of a changed human being you are, you can never come back into our establishment. This is discrimination. This is wrong. Even when I was at this bar and I was supposedly this sexually depraved individual, I was never disruptive. I never caused a scene. I never raised my voice. I never was vulgar or swore or interfered with other people enjoying their meal or anything. I would go after work and I'd have a glass of wine and maybe I'd have an entree. And I'd watch television and I'd talk to the staff. And it wasn't just this bartender. I'd go no matter who was working that night. And I liked going when this person was there because I thought he was my friend, but there were other people there that were friends too, I thought. And I'd like to go there. I like to go after work and I'd hope to see maybe somebody there that I knew that I like to talk to and hang with if they're not, if they're by themselves, whatever, maybe, or not. Sometimes you can tell by body language that somebody doesn't want to, they just want to play with their phone or whatever. I like to sit in the same table. I like to sit in the same chair by the window because I had problems with anxiety, and having the door there and the fresh air right by the window, it helped me with that. But that was all just me being a stalker, apparently. I was an evil, horrible stalker. But even horrible stalkers can get medication and therapy and get better after 5 years. And these guys are saying, nope, you can never come back. Sorry. This is discrimination. First of all, I wasn't a stalker. I never had any interest in this man. I actually was a little bit jealous because it was weird. This is kind of a strange kind of jealousy because I lost my dad when I was 6, and sometimes he would be working and his wife and his 2 little girls would come in, and he'd come around the bar and he'd pick up his little girls in his arms. And that made me jealous. It made me wish for my dad. It made me wish for things that I never got. I felt jealous of those little girls. I wasn't jealous of his wife or his marriage. I was a little bit jealous of his little girls, that they got to have this wonderful father pick them up, make them feel safe and loved. I missed that very much. And it was special to me to see. I mean, I appreciated seeing that. If I never got to experience it myself for very long, and so it was kind of neat to see it. That's as much as any kind of feelings I had other than friendship for this person. Sometimes I'd get those little flickers of, damn, I wish I had had that when I was a kid. I wish I had had a dad to do that. But I just think what he did was really evil. You don't go after somebody who's depressed, but the fact is he did. And the fact is he could, and I couldn't do. First of all, I didn't know. Excuse me. I didn't do anything about it because I thought he was my friend. And he made me feel like, my wife has problems with her hands, and I feel very neglected and feel very unloved and rejected and all these things. He basically guilt tripped me. He said, I've been there for you all this time, Diane. I've been there for you. Why can't you be there for me when I need you? And then he got me very drunk. And then he went after me. And then he lied through his teeth. Oh, this never happened. And turned the restaurant against me, turned everybody, pretty much everybody. And it's like you go there, and I never knew this was going on behind my back. I was like, why are people I don't even know looking at me like I'm garbage? When you have depression and anxiety and you have a really low self-esteem, that is not something you really need to have happen to you on top of everything else. Complete strangers looking at you like you're garbage. And there it was. That's what I got to have. Which only hurt me more. Which only made me more anxious and depressed. And I probably should have just moved on to some other restaurant, but I had a lot of fear about going to another bar. I wasn't really that much of a person who liked to go to bars. I only went to this bar because when I was in theater, this is where the cast went after work, after the show, so I was used to this place. I was used to it. It was familiar. So anyway, I just think that people, discriminating against somebody for a physical or mental illness that they cannot help is a really cruel thing. It's a abusive thing that damages people. It hurts and it leaves scars. I finally have gotten past it for the most part. The part that angers me the most is that the restaurant can continue to hurt me when I did nothing wrong. I was a loyal patron to them. I paid good money there. I even brought other people to that restaurant, and that they could treat a customer the way they have treated me. And they never even entertained the idea that maybe there could have been a second side of the story, another side to hear. And they punished me for being upset about it. They punished me for being angry and hurt, that they wouldn't even listen to my side of the story. And they continue to punish me to this day for it. And it all comes down to one thing. I had depression and anxiety. I was a very hurt person who got hurt even more by one of their staff. And then rather than even remotely care, they hurt me even more. This is wrong. It is wrong to hurt people. It is wrong to hold something against somebody else for just having an illness like depression or anxiety. And there's other discrimination too. A man who walks into a bar every day and has a drink, maybe even has a favorite chair, isn't going to be accused, most likely, of being after the bartender. But a woman is. Unless, of course, the bartender's a woman. I suppose that, I'm sure in the course of time, this has happened to a man, too, over a female bartender. But I'm imagining it's probably not nearly as common for a man to be treated this way, just for wanting a drink at his favorite bar after work. So in a way, I feel like it's a double standard. A woman can't go to a bar after work, sit in her favorite chair and unwind, and talk to people she thinks are friends. She can't do that. One lesson I've learned, and I would love to impart to anybody who has depression and anxiety: don't tell people things at bars. Don't tell them about your life. See, that's what I did. I told this bartender, he also knew what I did for his friend, so he knew I was mentally exhausted. But I also told him things. I confided in him. So he knew how vulnerable I was and what a target I was. Don't let people know you're a target. Don't let them know you're vulnerable. Don't confide to strangers. Keep your heart off your sleeve. Seriously. There are predators out there. Oh, so many predators. There's the kind that might latch onto you and stay in your house for 3 years while they're sick, pretending to be your friend. Or there's the kind that might just go after you after they get you drunk, which I'm sure is a much more common kind of thing. A smart woman would not have gone back to the bar after that happened to me. But I believed it was my fault. I believed that thing that happened in the parking lot was my fault. I wanted to know that our friendship was still okay and that he was not angry with me and that we were still friends. I needed a little reassurance that he wasn't, that we were still okay, because the friendship was important to me. But I had in my mind determined that it was my fault. Because I had depression and anxiety and I had no self-esteem. Even though he was the sober one and he got me drunk, I must have been the one to be at fault. That's another thing. Drinking and depression, not a good combo. If you have depression, especially if you're on medication, don't go drinking. Don't go out in public and drink. Don't let them see you crying in your beer. Especially if I'm just average. This is back when I've always been average. I'm just an average looking person. But if you're a beautiful woman, oh my God, don't let them see you sad. Because there's really no, unless you're rich, if you're a beautiful rich person, and you're prepared to be able to hire an attorney and file a lawsuit, because I wasn't able to do that. I wasn't able to file a lawsuit. I wasn't able to do anything. And even my government will write me back in a couple months again and tell me that they can't do anything to help me because they're just too short-staffed. And so what I consider to be a crime, this is in my opinion a crime, discriminating against people with disabilities. You can get away with it in this country because people are poor and the ADA is short-staffed. Anyway, if you've been watching, thanks. Bye.